All right, so here's Beto's biggest mistake. There's actually been a few, but first off, just start with the rollout of his campaign. It was a bit of a disaster, very uneventful. He would have done better to do what Kamala Harris was, draw a crowd, get in front of a large crowd, if he could have drawn such a crowd in order to promote and kick off his campaign. He absolutely didn't do that. The second thing is this cult of the dead cow, being involved with this hacking group of hack guys that were hackers. It's really strange to me that this is something that he didn't reveal earlier, and he let Reuters beat him to the punch. This is something as a candidate, as a politician, you want to get ahead of. You don't want people to set the tone of your race, and he's allowed people to do that, which tells me he's not as great of a candidate as people would assume. I mean, there's some pretty weird stuff when you think about it. The guy talked about and wrote about running over a couple of people, and I mean, it was fiction writing, but it's like he got some fulfillment, some joy from it when he thought about it. He talked about, or he mocked women that had violent girlfriends. I really think the Democratic Party better get smart to this and find out if this guy has had any psychoanalysis since he had those writings, since he was a part of that hacking group, and see if they can get him fixed, if you will. It's absolutely crazy that this stuff hasn't been addressed. Not to mention the fact that homeboy got a DUI and ran from the popo. It's pretty crazy. But on top of all of that, here's his biggest mistake. In my opinion, what Robert Francis O'Rourke did, otherwise known as Beto, is he threw himself in the middle of the alligator, so to speak, when it comes to the Democratic Party. He did nothing to separate or define his campaign apart from everyone else in the race. I mean, it makes no sense to me whatsoever. What he would have been wise to do is to actually take Joe Biden's spot. If he would have played it smarter, if he would have tried to bump out Joe Biden, kind of overtake the moderate yet progressive angle, you know, he could say, listen, I stand for parts of the Green Deal. There are parts of the Green Deal that I like, that are sensible, that we can try to implement, so on, etc. You know, I don't believe in any of that junk. But if I'm a Democrat, you know, and you got to abide by their rules, abide by their policies, it seems to me that he made a huge error in not differentiating his campaign from the rest, from the Kamala Harrises, from the Cory Bookers. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. Now, he does have media, it seems like, on his side, although they bashed him for a little bit. Make no mistake about it. If it comes up to, if it's between him and Trump, the media is going to be all on his side. But right now, I think the front runner is actually Bernie Sanders, because Joe Biden isn't in. It's that simple. But Beto's biggest mistake was not knocking out Joe Biden from the get-go. So I think this race is going to be a lot tougher than he believes, and he's not going to be able to ascend to first place, if you will, in the Democratic primary, just because his rollout was abysmal. He didn't expose his craziness or get ahead of it, and last but not least, he didn't knock out Joe Biden. He didn't differentiate his campaign from any of the rest. It just makes no sense to me whatsoever.